his vehicle. And that was learned through the Ann Arbor investigation. They're following up with those individuals, the parents of those children, but what differentiates this case from other similar cases is that the defendant in this case had access to children consistent with the age of the CSAM he was possessing, and these are kids that couldn't report something if something was happening to them. So that's an extremely alarming set of facts.
We are on YouTube. We are on YouTube now. Someone logged us in, so I just wanted people to know. Thank you.
Thank you. And because of those factors, Your Honor, the people are requesting the high surety bond. Thank you.
Okay, so that's primarily based on the potential for harm to children.
That is the primary concern, and I guess one other thing worth noting, I did preliminary score the guidelines with Ms. Willebring in my office yesterday afternoon, and they appear to be what would be a mandatory prison cell in the guideline range. I believe the bottom end was 24 months. Okay,
thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Dowse.
Thank you, including Mr. Childers, for this input. I, on the other hand, I would ask for a personal cognizance bond. I don't think the case is totally unfit for this. For one, Mr. Kratz is 19 years old, has no history, no records, no arrest. I did meet and speak with him yesterday, late evening at length. Including about the nature and the severity of the charges that would be coming. He has and is taking counsel, and I described to him what will be expected of him going forward with a case of this nature. He heard and understood all that. As for the particular aspect of Mr. Kratz's exposure and dealings with underage children, for one, I believe, yes, he has contact with children in the course of his employment. That is correct. Transporting those children was not the only contact. Actually, it was a minor aspect of it. I think he is a behavioral therapist or a behavior technician who assists in coaching autistic children in their daily lives. Transporting those is really a minor aspect of that work. Already, he has indicated to me that he would. I mean, there's going to be a condition not to have contact with minors. That's standard, and that would in effect terminate his employment. And he is understanding and accepting of that. With that, I don't believe as high a cash bond is necessary, if any cash bond at all. If there had to be a cash amount, if it would be some low 10%, I think that would be sufficient for Mr. Kratz.
And I didn't hear anybody say anything about use of computers. Mr. Childers, is there anything your office was requesting in that regard? I don't see it on the bond form.
You know, if in the event the court were to grant some sort of bond that the defendant would post it, we would absolutely request no contact with any minor children and no use of a computer whatsoever, at least at this point, or, you know, cell phones, things of that nature, any device that he could gain access to this sort of images.
We're not hearing you, Judge. You're muted. Judge, you are muted. We cannot hear you. Okay, I got you.
There we go. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. All right, so what I was asking Mr. Dowse if you wanted to say anything about the I know that at this point, of course, your intention is to plead your client not guilty and proceed, but the mandatory 24-month jail time, I don't know if that affects your bond request at all.
Not at present. For one, I haven't.
All right,
spotted.
that's fine.
Thank you.
That's all I needed to know. We don't need to get into all that today.
Thank
Okay. Mr. Kratz, bond has essentially two parts to it. One part is whether the defendant is a flight risk. The other part is whether the defendant is a danger to the community. I think the only thing that speaks to flight risk at this time is your age and the nature of the charges. Those two things are potentially something I should consider as a flight risk, but you've hired an attorney and I don't have any reason to think you're not going to continue to participate in this process. So I'm not really concerned about flight risk. The second part is whether the defendant is a danger to the community. In this particular case, the danger that we're talking about is not necessarily anything that you would do directly toward another human, although that is something that I'm thinking about. It's more in the nature of participating in something that creates a market where people can be harmed. And that in and of itself is, for this court, for my court, something that is considered to be an ongoing danger. So I don't believe that a personal recognizance bond is appropriate at this time. However, I also don't think that a bond that is so high that it's effectively going to keep you in custody is necessary either. I'm setting the bond at $250,000, but I will allow a 10% provision on that bond with some pretrial release conditions. So you're not to use alcohol, marijuana, or illegal drugs, no purchase or possession of firearms, weapons, or ammunition, no contact with any minor child, no use of the internet. So you can't use a smartphone to connect to the internet. You can't use a computer that you have in your home. That might mean that you have to get a different kind of phone, and that I'm assuming that at some point, I don't even know, Mr. Childers, does he have his phone or was that taken as part of the investigation?
A phone was taken. There may be other phones. There were definitely devices taken.
All right. So you are not to connect to the internet for any reason. Your court hearings are going to be in person. You can call Mr. Dowse's office on a regular phone or go there in person. At this time, there's no reason for you to be on the internet. If you discover that there's something that you must be doing on the internet, you need to talk to your lawyer about getting some kind of an exception.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All understood and noted. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The court date right now, Mr. Dowse, we're scheduling on the 11th. I think we scheduled something for you on that day already. Would you like this one on that date as well?
Yes,
Okay.
please. That's a good thing.
Probable cause conference will be November 11th, approximately 9 a.m. in person.
And
I did say November, but I meant April.
Okay.
I was looking at the number 11 and my brain glitched for a moment. Okay, April 11th, which is next week, 2 weeks. That will be at 9 a.m. approximately in person. Okay, anything else on this matter?
Not at this point from.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your patience. Sorry about all the weirdness we're muddling through. Okay, you're all set, Mr. Kratz. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Lisa, if you're there, can you get us off YouTube?